In part 2 of our series on how to expat, we discuss passports and how to fund travel with the Cocoa Nomad, Alondo Brewington. Okay, so my next question I wanted to ask, and I brought it up before, I wanted to ask Alondo to bring out his passports. He's got 2 out of his 3, and he had one tip on that third one, on the active one. What's that tip you want to share that with us?
Okay, so yeah, when I'm traveling, I always keep my passport in a safe. So like if you need ID, like I have my driver's license on me when I'm walking around a lot of times. Usually I carry very minimum, like ID, maybe a credit card or debit card or something, and then just cash. But normally I just have my ID and cash when I'm walking around, and my hotel key or my apartment key or whatever. That's it. Because I mean, you're traveling just like any place. You want to be careful. You can lose something. You can get pickpocketed. I've been very fortunate in all my travels in 3.5 years. I've only had one thing stolen, and that was at a concert at a music festival in Paris. That's it. Good. But I try to be super mindful when I'm traveling. Yeah, to like keep my wits about me, keep my stuff like secure. Photocopy your passport, of course, because that's a hassle if you lose it or if it gets stolen. You got to go find an embassy. You got to try to get them to help you get home or get a replacement passport sent to you, which they can sometimes do. And then if you're getting one before you leave, too, as a tip, if you do have short notice, you can get same-day passport service in Expedition if you go to a certain city. Miami's one of them, although I wouldn't recommend going there. I would recommend going to Atlanta. Right downtown Atlanta on Peachtree, you can get it done. Like I've gone in at a 9:30 appointment. I've had the brand new passport in my hand at 11 o'clock.
You need to show reservations of where you're going to go, though? Like, do you need to show hotel stay or what you're going for?
You're supposed to, but I didn't. They didn't even ask me for that. Like, I literally, like, before, because I had to get a new one. And the reason why is because this one, I ran out of room. I made a mistake of not getting 50 pages in this one. But when you start getting visas, they fill up the entire page. For instance, like, this is my Bolivian visa here. So it's like, they fill up the entire page. My Vietnam visa is, like, filled up. Yeah. It's also the entire page. And, like, so you can see like, and then of course all the other stamps are just like stamp. So after a while, I recommend getting the big book. I don't even know if you can get the smaller one anymore. I don't know if they give you the smaller one.
This is a question I had for you earlier too when we were talking out front. Is a stamp a visa?
Yes. So like when you come into a country, a lot of countries, as an American, you have a lot of travel privilege because you can enter a lot of countries without having to apply for a visa. You'll get a tourist visa on arrival. And that's what they're doing. Like that stamp represents your visa. And it'll actually say it a lot of times on it. So it's just a basic visa on arrival. In most countries, you can get at least 30 days on arrival. So
for an American.
Yeah, for an American. Or, I mean, Germans probably have the best one. They have the #1, I think, ranked passport. But we're in the top maybe 10. Europeans, like the EU passport is a big one to get around without a lot of visas. Without having to do anything beforehand. And like some countries, it's very like a long time.
But the thing is, you need to check before you leave. Don't just say, I'm going to Bolivia and think that they have a passport on demand for Americans. You need to do due diligence. Yeah. As Vietnam, it was a process. Yeah. I mean, you can't just walk in Vietnam. Yeah. It's a process that you need to go through.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Check the State Department's website. State.gov, I believe, and they'll list by country, like what you need for country by country. And they'll also list things like if you need to get certain vaccinations, if you need to carry, because like I also carry around my vaccinations. So I have proof, yeah. So like certain countries you go to, certain parts of the world, yellow fever, encephalitis, all these different kinds of things. And so I have that too. And that's another thing that I don't keep out. Like I just make sure I have it like secure so that when usually with my passport. Although I have never been asked for it. Like, I've never been asked for the vaccination card in any country I've been in.
I've never been asked either. Not that I've been to half as many countries as you have. One thing I have used before is when you apply for your passport, you're able, as a U.S. citizen, to get a passport card as well. Now, supposedly that's only good if you're going into Canada and to Mexico. And that's only if you're walking. If you're flying, you still need your passport. But every country that I've been to, I was able to carry that on me and use that as ID. Instead of walking around with my passport or even a photocopy of my passport, I was able to use that as ID. Yeah, it has the number information that's on it too.
That's a good tip. I should get one of those. I don't even have one of those. Like I should get one because I need some ID and my driver's license is about to expire. And kind of done with driving, but
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, me too. Done with driving as a wrap. And that's one thing. That's a good thing too. When you go to another country, you may want to experience driving a scooter or maybe a motorcycle or something, but driving a car in another country, that's another goal.
Yeah.
If you're going to live there for years, maybe you want to get a car and you're out on the mountainside.
And having an international driver's license, if you can get it before you leave, that's a good tip too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do that. I didn't do that, and I've been a couple of places where I couldn't like drive. Like they wouldn't, like I have to have it, or you know they'll make you pay. Like a lot of places, there's a few places in the world you'll pay for it. Like you give them a little extra money, they'll overlook the fact that you don't have an international driver's license. But I was renting. I also didn't have a motorcycle license, so when I went to Greece, I was in Paros once, and I could not rent the motorcycles there without the motorcycle driver's license from the States. So I had to rent a four-wheel. I had to have the ATV instead.
So I just have an MC on my license, but I thought that was just for the state. So I can't use that outside the country, right?
You can use it in Greece. Like it's good enough in Greece. Like if you go to Paros, absolutely, you can rent a motorcycle there.
You need to go to Greece. I won't be renting a motorcycle here in Medellin, let me tell you.
You should go to Greece and you should go to Paros. Everybody talks about Mykonos and this other place, but Paros is like low key. It's like really cool. It's like a beautiful place.
That brings up another subject. Now I've asked you where your favorite places were inside the country. How about outside the country, the world? Pick number one place and tell us why. Number two and number three.
Yeah,
and tell us why.
They're all food based, man. To be honest, I'm just gonna be real with you. Like I travel for food. Like I'll like I told you, I'll get in a car and drive halfway across the country for barbecue. I'll get in a plane and travel. So my favorite place is I love Thailand. Thailand's like my number one like place. I love being there. I love the food there. It's my favorite food in the world. And both north and south. So like I lived in Chiang Mai for a while. It's like 4 months in Chiang Mai, and I also lived in Koh Phangan for a little bit down on the south side. And so it had everything that I like doing: riding a scooter, eating good food, and training Muay Thai, which I just love. So it's like, all right, I can do this every day.
Seems like you would.
I can live this like cool lifestyle. Second is Mexico. I think Mexico has some of the best food in the world. Like you are just really. In fact, right now there's a series on Netflix. I would highly advise if you watch the Taco Chronicles. Each episode that they've done in season 1 is about a different type of taco.
Really?
It's amazing. In fact, I'm going back to Mexico tomorrow.
I like tacos. I know. That's why I need to catch you.
Yeah. I love Mexico. Like, and then the third is and these are all that have great street food too. That's the other thing. Is I'm a big street food guy.
Okay.
And then third is Kuala Lumpur. Like Jalana Lord is just like this great street for food there. I mean, there's great food period in Malaysia, but like in Kuala Lumpur, just like this really good street food scene that is there. It's just absolutely amazing, and you can eat almost 24 hours. Like pretty much like you can. The street food is open to like 3:30. I've had it in the 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's just delicious. I love Colombia as a travel spot, but not for the food.
Oh, I was going to ask that in a second. What do you think of the food here?
So it's definitely like it's typical like South American fare where it's like it's kind of like a lot. You know, you get the rice, you get the chicken. So the banda paisa is like. You know, it's good. It's good stuff there. I love plantains. I love but it's just not spicy.
Sweet. Yeah. I tell people, bring salt.
Yeah, you gotta
bring slap your mama. Bring some Old Bay seasoning. Bring some seasonal accent. Yeah. I found that everything here is. I mean, it's like they're allergic to salt. Yeah. And a lot of fat. So if you're health conscious, the banda paisa.
Yeah, chicharron.
And the sausage.
I'm from the South. We already do it. So it's like you're gonna feel at home. You go, oh yeah, this is like what we have. Yeah, it's just a little different, like the way they cut it and cook it. That's it. But it's a lot of familiar stuff.
And so you like the food in Asia too?
I love the food in Asia, man. Like all across the board. Like I mean, Asian food is definitely Malaysian and Thai being my absolute favorites though. Like absolute bar none. Thai food, then Malaysian food, then Mexican food. It's like right there. And that's like it. And then other than that, like southern Spain, like I just love, or just the Costa del Sol, like being in Spain and Portugal, or like the food there in the Mediterranean. It's just like Mediterranean food, period. Though I don't care where you are, it's always good because I mean you're getting that fresh seafood and it's very light and it's just delicious. It's very rich.
Okay, so you've been to 33, 34 states, somewhere around that in the U.S. How many countries have you been to?
Currently 37, I think. It's like 37 countries. And this is almost all in the last 3.5 years.
Can you name them? Or give us...
I'm not going to do the Animaniacs thing where you just like name all this now.
No. Just give me some idea as to encourage me to further my travel.
Yeah, so here in South America, I've done Colombia, Bolivia, Peru, Uruguay, Argentina, That's it. Then Costa Rica, then Mexico. So that's pretty much like my places in this part of the world, Central and South America. New Mexico, back into North America. Canada, U.S., of course, being from there. Then Europe, I've done most of Western Europe. So Netherlands, England, Scotland, France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Croatia, Czech Republic, Hungary, Estonia. Where's Vilnius? When did Vilnius? I'm drawing a blank on the country. Just south of Estonia, like just outside. And then Asia, mostly Southeast Asia, like Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia.
And you're
Vietnam.
staying.
Yeah, I typically stay like a month.
So it's not like a vacation week or two. Your average stay, you say, don't stay less than a month.
Yeah, typically stay a month. Except for like Estonia, I was there for like a week. In fact, I stayed just under the requirement to do all this extra work to get into the country. I'm sorry, that was Belarus, not Estonia. I just stayed. Belarus also. Belarus is like up in the area, so like that part of the world. Morocco, like 5 weeks in Morocco.
Africa, yeah.
North Africa. I haven't done Southern Africa. So I was like, I feel like next year I'd like to just spend almost the entire year there, just to working my way from
that's
south
on
all the way up. Yeah. And just spending a good amount of time in like South Africa, Tanzania, Mozambique. I'm going to Botswana. There's like a place, like as a kid, I had a teacher who used to live there. So she was telling me decades ago, she's like, no, Botswana is like a beautiful place. You need to go. So
Tanzania is another one I want to visit, or Tanzania, however it's pronounced.
So I feel like I'm going to have to be off the grid for that a little bit, though, you know, because I just want to explore and I don't want to think about work. I don't want to think about.
You go by yourself?
Yeah,
every time you travel?
I started, of course, with the travel program, traveling with groups, but most of the travel has been alone because I was traveling alone before then. And that was kind of like my method of traveling I like doing. And but I've learned like it's a great experience to travel with people, to have a shared experience. It really is. I've learned to appreciate that a lot in the last few years. So now, even though I'm traveling by myself, I do try to connect with people because you start meeting so many people.
Example right here.
Yeah. And it's amazing. Like I've actually run into people on the street. I was in Poblado last month. And I ran into this guy that I had partied with in Costa Rica like last year. It's like walking down the street, I'm like, Jess. It's like, what's up, dude? Like, what are you doing here? It's just like one of those things like randomly run into people. It's happened in Estonia. I met a couple that I had met in Bali. I was working out of this co-working space called Dojo in Canggu. I met them there. And then we're in another co-working space in Estonia. And he walks up. It's like, hey. I'm like, dude, what are you, like, halfway across the world? You just see people.
It seems like a big world, but it's a small world once you start moving around it. We went to, where were we? Singapore. We were in Little India with my girlfriend, and she met somebody that she knew from work in Houston. What are the odds of being completely around the other side of the world in a small part of town to run into somebody that you know? And it's going to happen. The more you get out, and you're going to meet other people like yourself to get out and travel that you'll probably know from here too.
Absolutely.
Or at least been to the places you've been to. I wanted to ask you right quick too, in Croatia, where'd you go?
I stayed in Split. So I was living in Split.
No, we stayed in Split. Okay.
Yeah, I had an apartment there. And that was part of the remote year program. Okay. We were there. But I also went to Dubrovnik. So I went down there. Of course, I did the Game of Thrones.
Did you drive? Yeah, we did the...
Yeah. And then I was in Zagreb too. I spent a couple of days in Zagreb as well.
Up north, yeah.
And so that was a good time. But definitely, like Split was cool though. Like doing the boat tours, hopping the islands, going to a bar, a couple of little small.
We didn't do island hoppings. We drove. Unfortunately, I had to drive a stick.
Oh yeah.
I missed everything out the window because I'm driving and I'm paranoid. I'm in another country and I'm going up the side of the mountain. I have my challenges.
I had some friends that did that. They actually they lost their car.
They have a story, yeah, I'm sure, behind that.
Yeah.
Well, let me switch it up a little bit from the travel part and enjoying the travel to how are you able to travel? How do you earn money? Which different ideas would you suggest to the viewers as far as, how to fund their travel?
Okay. So as I mentioned before, I'm a software developer by trade. So of course I've done work, freelance work, contract work. I've even worked full time. I worked for a company out of Denver, Colorado for a number of years. And it's a remote company, so I was able to work remotely for them. But I picked up contract work, freelance work. There's lots of sites that you can get a lot of work on, technical work or non-technical work. And I want to get into that more so because I know if you're a programmer, honestly, you're not going to have any problems. It's going to be fairly easy to find a way to work and get jobs working remotely. But if you're not, and you're looking for ways to make money while you're traveling, to fund your travels, the first thing is I would suggest, though, is if you have a full-time job, see if you can start working remotely. And I would start it domestically first. There's a great book by this guy named Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Workweek. And one of the things he suggests in there is to get to a 4-day work week by suggesting like 1 day working from home. And then you prove that you're able to do it because it's a skill. You have to be a self-starting, self-motivated person who can get work done and build that confidence in your employer if that's what you want to do, that you're they can trust you, that you're just not sitting home watching Netflix all day or something like that. And so, but once you build that skill, or if you already have it, then that's where you start. And if that way you don't have to worry, you've already got a steady job. You know? But I would still suggest you look for opportunities to like make money other ways because your world's gonna change. You're gonna start looking at everything completely differently. I promise you. Like the job is great. I quit my job like in month 3, and it's the best job I ever had. Like I love that job, but I was like, ooh, this is a different experience. So I ended up leaving. I was like, oh, I think I'm just gonna dive 100% into this travel lifestyle and doing this a different way. And
you do need to be self-motivating, as you said. You need to get yourself up at 8 o'clock and make sure that you're in front of your desk or wherever you need to be to accomplish what you need to for the day. It is a challenge. It is a challenge. You need to be self-motivated. And
I would suggest, that's one of the reasons why I suggest people have like a savings, or what we call in startup world, like runway. Because when you first start traveling, there's going to be so much you're going to want to see and do. You're going to have what they call FOMO, the fear of missing out, and it's a distraction, because that's what happened to me. That actually was the real reason why I left the job, is because I was missing out on side trips my friends were taking. People were going down to Patagonia for like 9 days hiking, and I was like, man, I want to do that too. I want to go experience that. And so I just feel like I wasn't making the most of that experience. So I just went on sabbatical. I said, okay, I'll just leave and do this. But I had savings. So like, just don't do this on a whim and a dream. Would never suggest anybody do that. I had saved up a year's worth of living expenses, honestly. So like I could just like go for a year of just exploring and enjoying it. Eventually that money does run out, though. I'm just gonna say. So you gotta have plan B. You gotta keep it coming in. So one of the things I wanted to start doing as I was meeting people was that they were sharing with me how they were making money. I went to this thing called the Nomad Summit in Thailand a couple of years ago, and I started meeting people who were doing dropshipping. I was like, this dropshipping thing was pretty interesting, having these products. So what I did is I went back home when I sold my stuff. What I actually started doing was I sold it on Amazon. So I took the items. I started with my books. So I took all the books I had from like all the way back from undergrad and just like boxed them up. And I scanned them to see like how much they would sell for, and then I shipped them into Amazon. And what they do is Amazon fulfillment by Amazon FBA. And what you can do is you can take items for sale, and you can get them listed, and you put them in a box. I would just go to the UPS store and ship them to the location they tell you. You fill out these forms online on Amazon. You create an account, and they'll tell you exactly what things to put in what boxes and which boxes to ship where. And you don't pay out of pocket for any of that. All that stuff comes out of your sales at the end of the day. So I'm just dropping boxes off. I'm not even coming out of pocket for anything. Can we take a step back? Sure. Drop shipping you brought up first. Can you explain what drop shipping is for those who aren't familiar? Absolutely. So drop shipping is this concept of you're selling products online, but you're not keeping inventory. So basically what you are is you're basically a middleman store for products that you want to sell. And if somebody places an order, when they place the order, then you place the order with your supplier to have that item shipped to that customer. And so it's a way to sort of get into this product sales business without the overhead. They're like, you don't have to have a warehouse. You don't have to buy a bunch of product. I've done that in the past. I've actually done some like MLM stuff. And I was like, when I was younger, people were like, oh, you can make a bunch of money. And I have like a kitchen full of these products. And like, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Like, nobody's going to buy it. But this is a way you don't have to do any of that at all. The skills that you do have to have for having a dropshipping store, any online sales at all, is you have to start learning about marketing. You have to start learning about driving traffic, having an audience, and what it's going to take to build an audience and get them interested in something you have to offer. Now, whether that thing is what you have to offer is like a cell phone cover or patio furniture or, some online course that you're teaching, or t-shirts, any of these things, that fundamental skill. And that was the main takeaway that I got when I first started traveling, meeting people, was that was a central core skill. It's like, no matter what these people were doing, they all had to develop that skill of learning how to market online, how to drive traffic, understanding how the search engines work, you know, how to rank for keywords. All of these things are like fundamental skills that will pay off for you whether you never leave your house. This is something, if you were looking to be entrepreneurial, this is skills that you need to have, you need to develop. I'm still developing them, because again, that whole, oh, you're a software developer thing can work against you. It's like the cushion. It's like, oh, I just code. But then I don't build those other muscles, and then like out here watching people like really make money. Like, I mean, I was talking to a guy in a Starbucks here the other day, and he's like, yeah, man, I pull in like 10 grand a month on this one thing that I have. And it's a site. He's like, he didn't even do a lot of stuff. He's literally walked in for an hour and then walked out. He's like, I'm done for the day. And I'm like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, it took him time. And he told me, he's like, it's not quick. It's no get rich quick overnight stuff. He's had that site for 3 years, but he put the work in. He's like, yo, man, it took a while to build the
that beginning is a trudge.
But he's like, now he's able to live off of that. And of course, he doesn't start working. He's like, yeah, I'm launching another one. It's like, I'll do this again, rinse and repeat. Because once you build those skills, you see like, hey, I can make this work in another area to sell another product. And that's my goal now. It's like I'm transitioning to get out of just purely doing software and some of the other things that I'm doing that are trading time for money into doing things that scale, things that have more leverage to them. Not even passive. Like people love to talk about passive income. I'm like leverage income. Put your effort in and get a 10x return for the time that you're putting in. That's the thing I'm focused on now.
Okay, so let's go back to the Facebook, the Amazon FBA. Okay, and I've heard of it, but I've just learned. I guess I learned probably 90% about what I know about it in the past couple of hours from talking to them out front. So give us an idea of how that process works. We get you started with the books, but then from there, where did you go and where could you go?
Oh yeah, so I mean, eventually, like selling the stuff that I had already in the house wasn't going to last long because I got to supply new products. So what I started doing was I would make trips back to the U.S. when I was visiting, and I got into toys. Toys was the area that I wanted to do with FBA because I'd heard and listened to a bunch of podcasts and different people talking about these other products, and I was having trouble. I wanted to do drop shipping, but I couldn't quite get my head around which product I wanted to sell. I just didn't know yet. I have a friend of mine that were roommates in Bali, and that's what he did. He sold the drop shipping. That's his business. He's been doing it for years. But toys, domestically in the U.S., just doing FBA, I would get up in the morning, and because all my friends are going to work, family's going to work, I would go to stores. I would drive to Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, Kmart. I would walk up and down the aisles with my phone. So there's an Amazon app on your phone.
That's the guy you see taking prices and you think, does he work here?
Yeah. Just checking prices. And I buy toys on clearance. And I buy them all. Like if I see something that's on clearance and it looks like the numbers are going to work out for me, because you scan it. You literally scan it with your phone. Everything comes up, including your fees, like what Amazon's going to charge you. They give you all that information. So you can make snap decisions about do these margins work for me or don't they? And since I'm only doing FBA, I also had the additional storage costs, not just the selling fee with Amazon. So that cut into my margin. So I had to make sure that if I'm going to pick this up and send this in, I want to make sure something's going to sell. And they'll advise you there too. Like the app will literally tell you, like, we don't need any more of this product. Don't send this and don't buy it. Don't.
It's an Amazon app?
Amazon has the app now. There used to be competitors. Amazon actually ended up just releasing their own after a while. Than having it for their sellers.
Really?
Yeah. So you just log in with your account. So all your information is there. Your account information, everything is there. And you can see, and a lot of times you don't even have to list because usually someone's already got a listing for that product. So you just piggyback on an existing listing. And what Amazon will do a lot of times is they'll backfill because people are ordering things and they'll need you to ship yours to this location so they can backfill something that's already sold. I've actually had orders. My product has sold before my boxes went out. Because they're just managing their inventory. You know, they're the kings of supply chain management. So that's what they do. That's their bread and butter. So it was great. And a good example of this that I was sharing was that I went in, before the Wonder Woman movie came out, they had some Wonder Woman pencil boxes that were for sale. And they were on sale for $8. And I bought every last one of them. Bought them all, listed them on Amazon for $27. And they sold out. Like, those things sold out in the first week. They were all gone. Like, boom. Just like that. And I wish I could find somewhere else pencil boxes.
How many did you buy?
I think it was like 8. Like 8 of them. That's all I could. That's all they had on the shelf. And like just fill a cart.
Yeah.
And so the thing about the toys, though, that I will say, is that a lot of the items I couldn't sell because Disney is a beast with their copyright. So you can't even list that stuff on Amazon. Like I could easily have gone into one store, filled up 3 shopping carts full of Star Wars, Frozen, Marvel, all that stuff, but you can't sell it.
Well, the good thing is they tell you.
Yes.
Right, so yeah. So you can't scan it and think you're going to sell it and then find out later. Yeah.
But you can't sell it on eBay.
You can.
Yes. So if I still stayed in the U.S., I would make, that's all I would do.
So it's legal on eBay?
Well, eBay doesn't stop you from selling it. They don't stop you from listing it.
But they're not going to come get you and go, you with the Wonder Woman doll in your living room.
eBay's a little less stringent about a lot of things than Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon has a lot more stricter rules. Like they'll get you in certain products like you can sell. You have to earn the right to sell like supplements and cosmetics and these kinds of things. You have to get approved for those things. And a lot of times you have to have like a track record before you can move into those areas. Because I know people specialize in those things. Like my roommate, he was doing supplements. That was his thing. And he was early on a lot of things too. Like he got in early on selfie sticks. Remember selfie sticks? He was doing selfie sticks back in like 2015, 2016. And then he got saturated, so he got out. And then he did the same thing with supplements. He got saturated, he moved on to other products. And that's with dropshipping. But yeah, you can do this. You can absolutely do Amazon FBA if you're just home. And this might be a way for you to like fund your travels, like to go ahead and get that nest egg for traveling, and then take it forward to fund you as you're going forward. So there's something to think about. And you can save money on margins if you have space in your house to just stock the stuff without shipping it into FBA. Like I had enough room in the house that if I just stayed home, I could just put all these boxes in the corner and do that and sell it and have much better margins. I would have stocked more stuff and then just ship it when somebody orders it. Because again, at the end of the day, like any business, all that stuff is getting passed on to the consumer. You're not paying that out of pocket. As a business owner, you know when you sell a product, you know going in what your margins to be for your profit. And, you know, depending on if you have to lower your price a little bit, it eats into your margin, but that's eating into your profit. And the beautiful thing about it is that money comes right back to you that you can reinvest into getting more merchandise.
I was going to ask that too. How long does it take to get paid from Amazon FBA from the time you ship it off?
Once you hit the threshold, like you'll have the money in your account. And then like, I think like after 30 days, like that's it. Like I hit that threshold and then I can just start withdrawing money.
By threshold, how much you've sold?
Yeah. How much you sold? Like I can't remember the buy. It's not a lot though. It can't be that much because I first sold like stuff for like $99, $100. Like I had a songbook of how to play Prince's music, the hits. Remember the hits album came out, volume 1 and 2. Like I sold that on Amazon for like, it went for like $100. I bought it for like $20 a long time ago. And like it sold. I had some old computer books that sold. Like somebody just wanted some old networking book that I had, and stuff sold for like $99. And so like I was able to get some of my school book money back, but you know, because that's a whole scam. Like textbooks in college, like that's you're spending way more money. But I was able to make some of the money back. I sold some of my old college textbooks. They were able to make some of that money back.
We have a YouTube channel. Like it. Please subscribe and kick the bell.